Those of us with sight are quite fortunate for all the obvious reasons, but today we see through the eyes of the blind and travel with them along our roadways. Hi there, I'm Adrian at Kingston and this is Jamaica Magazine. Stay with us.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh and this is your JIS News for Tuesday, August 21. Work on the fourth medium-term Socioeconomic Policy Framework, MTF, is scheduled for completion in September. The MTF is facilitating the timely implementation of goals and national outcomes of Vision 2030 Jamaica in 3-year cycles. Vision 2030 aims to reposition the country to achieve developed country status within 12 years. The Planning Institute of Jamaica, PIOJ, is spearheading the MTF's development, which is underpinned by an extensive strategic planning and prioritization process to guide stakeholders.
MTF 2018 to 2021 will consolidate the developmental gains made in the previous MTFs for 2009 to 2012, 2012 to 2015, and 2015 to 2018, and strengthen the foundations for achieving the country's long-term results, taking into account the many opportunities that surround us, the current developmental challenges we are confronted with, and the global context.
Dr. Henry was speaking at the PIOJ's Economic Review Media Briefing on Thursday. The PIOJ Director General said the MTF's priorities are intended to move Jamaica towards ensuring a secure and prosperous future for all citizens. The community of Moravia in Clarendon now has a new Type 1 health center. It was constructed by Food for the Poor with funding from local and overseas partners. The new health center replaces the clinic, which was operated from the home of a community member. While speaking at the opening ceremony on Friday, Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton urged community members to use the services offered to improve their health and also to prevent non-communicable diseases.
Your health center is your first line of defense against a disease profile. Your health center is the instrument, is the provision of the services, whether advice or otherwise, in your community to help you not to reach to the hospital. That's what primary health care is all about.
Still on health, the Bustamante Hospital for Children is expected to save approximately $28 million in its energy costs over the next 20 years. This is being realized through the installation of a solar energy system at the institution to power the intensive care unit. The system was donated by the Guardsman Group from proceeds of its 2017 staging of the Guardsman Games. It is part of a pilot project being facilitated by Future Energy Corporation. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton expressed gratitude to Guardsmen for their contribution to the health sector at the official handover on Monday.
The intensive care unit is benefiting from this solar system, which will create savings for us and by extension help us to carry out our functions in the context or the environment of limited resources.
That the solar system is expandable. And going forward, one of the aims of Guardsman Games going forward is to challenge corporate entities and individuals to contribute towards the expansion of this system so that we can provide reduced energy and for other areas of the hospital and ultimately continue to improve the care given to our nation's future, its children.
In other news, the National Housing Trust says it will be increasing its investment in the housing sector to advance the island's social and economic development.
For the 2018-2019 financial year, the NHT intends to spend over $30 billion in housing. The NHT plans to start the construction of a total of 22 new schemes this financial year, representing over 5,000 housing starts.
The NHT's new chairman, Lennox Channer, was speaking Thursday at a groundbreaking ceremony for the Trust's latest housing project in Hanover.
I have made the choice of selecting a new chairman who himself is a former banker, spent many years in the banking sector, and someone who you could describe him as a fiscal conservative, someone who will ensure that those targets that I have set are met.
100 mathematics coaches will be deployed in approximately 1,000 primary and secondary schools across Jamaica. According to the Education Ministry, this will strengthen math performances among the targeted cohort of students.
These coaches, primary and secondary, will focus on the coaching of in-service teachers and effective delivery of mathematics. In addition to coaching activities, the National Mathematics Program works intimately with the teacher training institutions to ensure that poor teaching practices are stemmed from the pre-service level.
Education Minister Ruel Reid was speaking at the launch of the Professional Development Program for Mathematics Specialists and Teacher Educators. The program, which is being facilitated under the National Mathematics Program, aims to train more math teachers in the effective use of mathematical practices. And finally, Program Director for the National Identification System, NIDS, Warren Vernon, says financial institutions are looking forward to the implementation of the system. He says they have indicated that it will improve their ability to identify customers and reduce related risks. Speaking at a recent JIS think tank, Mr. Vernon says the NIDS team has been in dialogue with financial institutions that have indicated their support of the program.
They are of the view also that if they are able to identify individuals based on who they say they are, that will significantly reduce, their risk. And the reception is very, very good. There are some financial institutions that can't wait for the respective regulations to be in place so they can make use of the system.
Mr. Vernon says the NIDS team is also working with the Bank of Jamaica to examine the existing legal framework for financial institutions and the Know Your Customer regulation. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
Respecting yourself, how you carry yourself is very important. You hear me, young men? We take for granted oftentimes as men that people judge you before you even open your mouth. From they look at you, they form a perception. They make up their minds about you. So the question is, when they look at you, what do they see?
Find out the happenings of the Office of the Prime Minister in the week that was next.
Consultation start for changes to be made to Cabinet, Prime Minister to set up Commission on Violence, and groundbreaking for Hanover housing development. These and other news stories coming your way in today's Jamaica House Weekly. On Saturday, Prime Minister Andrew Holness said the world lost a great humanitarian icon when he learned of the passing of former Secretary General of the United Nations, Kofi Annan. The Prime Minister said the 80-year-old served with distinction during his two-term tenure and was the epitome of a dedicated international civil servant. The first black African to head the United Nations, Kofi Annan is remembered for being an architect of the Millennium Development Goals. The 2001 Nobel Peace Prize winner was also persistent in his call for governments to be held accountable for the treatment of their people. Earlier in the week, Prime Minister Andrew Holness announced that he would be setting up a commission to stem violence in the society. This commission, he said, will include the media as stakeholders.
It is not a discussion for politicians solely to have. It is a national discussion, and when I announce this commission, I'm certain that we will be inviting members of the Press Association and the Media Association to participate, to help us to come to a Jamaican solution to this issue of violence.
Mr. Holness made the disclosure Monday at the 49th Annual General Assembly of the Caribbean Broadcasting Union and Public Media Alliance. As he committed his government to supporting press freedom through the passage of key legislation, Prime Minister Holness welcomed Jamaica's 6th place ranking on the World Press Freedom Index. He also urged the press to use its influence to counter the ill effects of fake news and alternative facts being promulgated through social media.
The best protection from the dangers of social media is to have a free press that is strong in ferreting out the truth.
At Jamaica House Wednesday, the Prime Minister held his quarterly press briefing. While giving updates on the economy and other key sectors, Mr. Holness confirmed that a cabinet realignment was on his agenda.
There will be some changes, obviously, and I've already started consultations on that, just to make sure that in making those changes, that in correcting one problem, I don't create another problem.
He said a new science and technology minister would be announced once he's met with and given directives to all the boards within the ministry. As for the energy portfolio, Prime Minister Holness said the terms of reference for the team to help the state to determine Petrojam's future had been finalized. In addition to the possible buyback of Venezuela's 49% shares in the oil refinery, the Commission will also review the divestment of Wigton Wind Farm and the state's shares in the Jamaica Public Service.
The energy portfolio has good administration from the civil service and public service point of view. And as soon as the Commission delivers its report and the divestment agenda is clear, then I don't need to have that under my supervision anymore.
While at the press briefing, Mr. Holness said the enterprise team overseeing the island's divestment of the National Solid Waste Management Authority should complete its work in 14 months. As for increasing access to public beaches, the Prime Minister said the Cabinet will deliberate on a draft beach access and management policy come September. A town hall meeting is to be held to update the nation about the government Oval project. And a parliamentary committee is to be initiated to review the standing order governing dress code for persons entering Gordon House.
Of course, there's going to be robust debate in Parliament, but I think that the general sentiment for which MPs should pay attention to is that we should align our policies to modern thinking.
On Thursday, the Prime Minister was in Hanover to break ground for the latest National Housing Trust development. To be named Industry Cove Manor, the almost 5-hectare property will have 23 detached 2-bedroom and 42-bedroom townhouse units. While he welcomed the Trust's new chairman, Lennox Channa, Mr. Holness lauded the agency for sticking to its mandate of building houses for Jamaicans. The Prime Minister also announced that employment opportunities were on the horizon for Hanover residents, with plans to increase tourism investment in the parish. Mr. Holness called on citizens to secure these investments by cooperating with the police to rid the parish of criminals.
I appeal to the people of Hanover. Take up your security in your hands as well. The police, they have been tasked, they have been mandated to work with the communities, provide information, and let us clean up the communities once and for all.
And that's it for Jamaica House Weekly. Be sure to join us next time for more of the news stories coming out of the office of the Prime Minister.
I was first diagnosed with cervical cancer at the age 33. The treatment was not pretty. It was terrible. I couldn't go to work, and I spent the whole 5 years out of work. The pain, the struggle, I removed my womb. I thought, I'm finished with cancer. 2016, cancer come back. There's hope for your daughter. My experience don't have to be her experience. So mothers, give your children the vaccine. It will be good for your sake and for the children's sake.
Don't wait. Vaccinate against cervical cancer. A message from the Ministry of Health. The Ministry of Local Government and Community Development has embarked on an island-wide program to develop the nation's markets. Vendors across the country are being provided with better amenities to peddle their wares. Take a look.
It is a cultural paradox in the country of bounty. The land's fruits, fresh and nutritious, sold within spaces too many of which are eyesores. The Ministry of Local Government and Community Development is changing that, delivering market spaces that are as appealing as the produce they display.
Most of our markets are in a deplorable condition. These markets are not conducive for vending or for persons to ply their trade.
That is slowly changing. Repaired roofs, properly made stalls, improved flooring, ample parking, and concessionaire shops are taking shape in markets across the island.
It is the obligation of the government to ensure that we provide the necessary resources.
The Market Rehabilitation Project forms part of government's drive for economic development. This is where producers and consumers connect directly as they haggle and hustle to make the sale or get the most pounds for their dollars. And in the midst, people talk, socialize, and stock their food baskets with high-quality local produce. It is a system worth preserving and maximizing to serve more of the population's needs.
The concept of not just having a market that caters for ground provision and haberdashery use, to have a market that will also create other services in the same complex.
Among the markets under repair is the Maypen facility in Clarendon. It has been expanded with modernized sheds and containers to replace wood stalls. $3 million was also spent to renovate the once leaking roof.
We recently did some work on the roof. It used to leak very badly. And now, after the works, I'm now hearing from the vendors that it's good again.
Where the people them sell the clothes, it used to leak. And the mayor got it fixed. They are comfortable right now because they are not wetting up no more.
We are in the process of putting in a rainwater harvesting system, channeling the water into a huge tank in the corner where we can use all of that water to clean the market. There's another area there that we intend to cover and have it properly rendered, so that food vending can take place there as well.
In Hanover, the Hopewell Market will be refurbished at a cost of $20 million. The entrance will get a facelift, while the roof, electrical system, plumbing, stalls, flooring, and bathrooms will be repaired. In St. Andrew, the Stony Hill Market will face $30 million of refurbishing work. Users will soon have renovated bathrooms, an improved entrance, a better roof, and concrete stalls. The Papine Market, also in St. Andrew, will be repaired after recent fire damage. A new Falmouth Market is being built at a cost of $300 million through a partnership with the Port Authority of Jamaica. And the Charles Garden Market in St. James will be refurbished at a cost of $15 million. Work has also started on the Port Maria Market in St. Mary with a budget of over $55 million and an April 2019 completion date. While those markets are being upgraded, others have already received their facelifts. Phase 1 of the Clarkstown Market in Trelawney, which includes a new transportation center, was recently completed. Phase 2 is now underway at a cost of $20 million. And if anybody is carrying their ackee to the Linstead Market these days, a $12 million investment means there should be no electrical short circuit taking place.
When we spend the money to upgrade and to make the markets into an acceptable position, I am going to challenge our vendors to utilize the markets once we have undertaken the necessary repairs.
There are over 50 active markets in the country, showcasing produce that are pound for pound, among the best in the world. The local government ministry is ensuring that these facilities are of equally high standard.
The Disabilities Act will protect the rights of all persons with disabilities. And here's a great teaching moment. Every person with a disability, like a deaf or hard of hearing child, for example, has the right to an education with accessible facilities and the support they need. In this case, it would be a teacher who can use the language of the deaf, which is sign language. Visit jcpdja.com. A message from the JCPD, an agency of the Ministry of Labour and Social Security.
For Jamaicans who use public transportation, they rush out of their homes, jump on a bus or taxi, and off they go. For the visually impaired, they have to strategically navigate the busy streets while listening out for traffic. All this while trying to ascertain if the next vehicular sound is a taxi or a bus heading in their direction. Next, commuting without sight.
From the fingers of political activist Helen Keller came this oft-repeated statement: the worst thing is to be born sighted but lack vision. Among our people are many whose sight is impaired, making it more challenging to navigate the roads of forever changing national space. Over a decade ago, the state-owned bus company had the vision to recognize their need for a public transport system that is accommodating of all Jamaicans.
I lose my sight. It's going from 89, totally blind, 2004. 89 when I check my sight, 5% in the left eye and 95 in the right eye. Everything goes 2004. Well, 2004, I was fretting on it. I hear about Society for the Blind, and Mrs. Wallace, who do the training, who train us to take the bus, train us to go to transport center, walk on the road, walk between light posts, walk on the sidewalk. I prefer to take the JUTC. When I take the bus to the transport center, boy, the customer service is very nice. They ask you where you're going and then take you downstairs or upstairs and then put you on a seat to sit down. Sometimes they wait on you till the bus comes and put you inside the bus and tell the driver, where to let you off.
Since 2005, the JUTC began offering a disabled service, and we did so recognizing that there are other forms of transportation service or operators who do not provide a similar service to members of the disabled community. We recognize that they're an important part of the traveling community, and it is in fact incumbent on us, being a government-run entity, to provide such a service for those who may not otherwise be able to access private transportation services. Over the course of that period, we have also imported several units, several specially designed buses for persons with varying degrees of disability. We have a cadre of customer service representatives who have been introduced to a wide range of customer service related responsibilities and functions. In fact, 10 to 12 of them who are rostered weekly to provide critical care to members of the disabled community. Our customer service agents take them to and from the buses, and of course anywhere within the location of the Harper Tree Transport Center. They also provide sanitary support for them.
I lost my sight last year, February. Taking the transport, sometimes I'm feeling excited. Sometimes, not all times. Because taking the transport, I can miss my steps. When crossing the road, sometimes I'm feeling down. Nervous, like, can't wait to get over it. I can cross in the road, anything can hit me. So those things will run in my intention. Yeah, and hole can be there. And even though the cane will drop in the hole sometime, you can still do wrong things and drop same way. So there's something always come up in my thought at all times. crossing the road, taking the vehicle. And sometimes tears come on my eyes because the way how the person react, people will see me. Some of them will say, you're not blind. And you act like you're blind because your eyes don't look like you're blind.
Part of the training involves engaging the Disabilities Foundation to see how it is that we ought to care for members of the disabled community. So, for example, there is in fact a particular standard and protocol in which persons who are blind, for example, ought to be carried around.
One day I was at the bus stop. I took a bus 46 from downtown, and I asked tell the driver, I said, I'm going at Union Square Drug Serve. And it was a woman driver, and believe you me, when the lady reached Drug Serve, she stopped the bus on the left side there and come out of the driver's seat and take me across the road right to the Drug Serve. I was so pleased, man. You have some nice driver.
The visually impaired individual is firstly someone with basic human rights, those shared by every other Jamaican. And while a disability-friendly transport system may not be on the list of basic human rights, as the JUTC recognizes, it is a critical part of ensuring that Jamaica is truly a place where everyone of every ability can live, work, raise families, and do business.
I haven't think about that as yet. It's easy.
Most of the things my wife deal with it. She start buying uniforms, paying school fees, and all of those things. Books, the books are very expensive. As you see, I have two of the same age. So, you know, I have to buy two of everything. It's very expensive.
For back to school, I normally starts early. So from June, I'll start buying like uniform material and all of that. And then by the time I get the book list, then I start there.
I have not started preparing yet.
Not quite started as yet. Just a bag and a couple books.
Well, they send one book list, come give me, I start to buy the book off it already. I buy some integrated and some social study and some whole heap of book.
I'm preparing by buying books, uniform, the accessories.
Nothing, they're ready.
Well, as I can tell you, I'm just doing my little hustling, so I'm just trying to prepare to send back my kids back to school.
This is where the magazine closes for today. For a lineup like what you just saw and much more, check out our YouTube channel. You may also visit our website and other social media platforms to stay in the know on matters of national importance. And of course, join us daily on this station for the latest installment of Jamaica Magazine. Until next time, I'm Adrian Atkinson on behalf of the team here at the JIS. Thanks for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.